So to share a little bit more of the story of my client that overcame some tremendous obstacles, let me give you a little bit of backstory. So she was doing well, solo mom, had a financial business, and she was making somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 to $250,000 a year, and she'd been doing so for a while. So she was doing quite well and feeling very energetic, was in great health. And finally, about 3 years after her divorce, she was feeling like she was ready to start a relationship again. So she did, with a very charismatic and strong man. And that caused a little rift with the ex-husband. And they ended up back in court. A little bit of a custody battle. A lot of things surfaced, details that I won't get into. But needless to say, it got ugly, because most court battles do. And what ended up happening, because she was pregnant with this man's child, they were going to start a family together, he started getting abusive. He started first yelling, and then like pinning her up against the wall and yelling at her. At that moment, she decided, I'm not going to let him do that to me again. Next time he does anything like that, I'm going to fight back. So the next time he did that, she slapped his face. He slapped her right back. And then he picked her up, because he was much bigger and stronger, and imprisoned her in the bathroom for probably a good hour while he continued to yell at her and punch his fist through the wall. That's when she thought, I need to get out. And she did. She really needed to get out. Needless to say, well, maybe not needless, but she did. After probably the second real beating, she got out, because the second one left a little bit of physical evidence that she could get a restraining order with. So she got out, filed for the restraining order, and thought, whew, I need to get away from this and protect my babies. Now there's a newborn who had some pretty significant medical issues. So she was focused on her children and just carrying on and getting through the legal battles for an entire year, more like 15 months-ish. She fought 2 concurrent custody battles, one for a permanent restraining order and one for her other 2 children. It got ugly and expensive, and she used all of her savings and all of her ability to get credit. And because she couldn't work, because she had a newborn with no help, she ended up on food stamps. By the grace of God, she made enough money to keep a roof over her head and continue to pay the monitor to see her children for 19 months. That went on for at $800 a month. So you can imagine how fast she was bleeding money between 2 attorneys, 2 therapists, a monitor, and a newborn with medical conditions. So she was inundated. Like, this is this kind of stuff that typically would bury a person. She was definitely buried financially, and emotionally, she was barely hanging on, but it was still better than it was in the relationship. So she had enough strength to continue moving forward. And it was the love of her children that pulled her through, and finding faith in a higher power that she didn't really have as much of a relationship with. Not because she wasn't aware of it. She grew up in the church. It just, their life was never bad enough to need to really pray this hard. And so when she got to the first of the month and had $600 and did not know where rent was coming from, but God brought business through and got it closed just in time so that she could get paid, so that she could pay her rent. And she never asked for a handout from family or anything. She was a very prideful woman. She wanted to make sure that she could do it on her own. And not that she didn't need the help, but she didn't really feel like she could get it. And so she thought, it's just me, and I've got to make this work somehow. And she did. She got through all of it, got her kids back, and there's more details to this story. Got off food stamps and started building a thriving business starting in 2020, right after her children got back into her fold and the baby was doing better, had overcome a few of the medical conditions, but was not out of the woods yet. She started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And this time, it wasn't a train coming straight for her. She developed some skills along the way, some skills to be able to overcome some pretty extreme emotional circumstances and a lot of limiting beliefs. And it's pretty easy to start to believe the limiting beliefs when you're cruising at an altitude and all of a sudden your wings get clipped and you fall. You fall and there's no wings. You can't just sprout them again and take off because now you're tethered to the earth. And so she found a way to continue moving forward and overcome and try to start again. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of pain. And the only time she actually left the house for most of that year was to go to the gym, which kept her sane. She knew, even though she didn't want to get off the couch, she knew that she needed to go because it was the only thing that was going to produce enough dopamine to help her continue moving forward, to give her the hope and faith necessary to continue putting one foot in front of the other. She was able to use that to slingshot herself into greater and greater success. And the skills that she developed during that deep emotional and financial valley are boding well for her today. And so while this is a story of extreme circumstances, a little bit like Rocky, right? A little bit beaten down at the end of her rope, and with no one to help her up, she found the strength to claw her way back up and start to run again. And that's when people started showing up to help. Now, in her valley, there were just a couple of people that she never thought would ever come to her rescue, did. And as she was grateful for them, that gratitude expanded. And when she could stand on her own 2 feet and continue being grateful for getting to be on her own 2 feet, she got better and better and started using some of that to help other people. See, I think that it's okay to go through a valley. It's okay to fall. It's okay to deal with some major turmoil in your life. Just don't stay there. Get up, keep going, prove to them that they're wrong. And so one of the things that drove her the most during this whole period of time was that she was not going to give either one of them the satisfaction of seeing her sweat. So every day that she went into the courthouse, 13 times in that year alone, she would dress impeccably, makeup, hair, with full composure. She was never going to give them the satisfaction of letting them think that they had beat her. And because of that mindset, they did not. This is what I want you to take with you today. Your mindset, the way you view yourself, means everything. It means your ability to overcome, and it means your ability to thrive. And if you need to cultivate the mindset of overcoming and really winning against the odds, because those odds were definitely against her. Bankruptcy, food stamps, you name it, she went through it all at once. You need to do this. You need to develop that kind of mindset, because that's what it's going to take for you to win when you don't have those things against you.